I know I'm late to make this video because there has already been hundreds of videos talking all kinds of shit about Unreal Engine 5. But do you understand how bad it'll be for 2026? Or good? Well, there will be lots of things to unpack here, so I want you to stay with me. I'm sure everyone knows about the ongoing RAM crisis caused by the memory shortages, which affects obviously RAM, and on top of that, increases SSDs and GPUs prices. Why is there a memory shortage? Well, it's because of AI companies taking every memory chip they can get so they can feed their hungry AI data centers. And I already made a bunch of videos covering those topics, so let's just move on because I'm sure everyone already knows. So what the fuck does Unreal Engine 5 have to do with anything? Because it fucking sucks. And also, it makes the games that use it not only look alike but run like a fucking bitch. Because most games made from it are so unoptimized. We all know the notable games that runs like shit. Games like Black Myth Wukong, Silent Hill 2 Remake, and many more unoptimized titles that can barely run at native resolution, even in a modern mid-range card. The only optimization these Unreal Engine 5 games have are upscalers and frame generation. And I know I made a video talking about how better these specs had got, but I still admit nothing can beat the sharpness of a native resolution. And not to mention how janky these features can be, especially when you're using an older GPU. Because conveniently, the newer versions of these upscalers are only available to newer GPUs, meaning older GPUs are stuck on the older versions of it, which kinda beats the entire premise of it. And I know that there are some workarounds to use newer upscalers like FSR4 to older GPUs, but even so, it doesn't look well and it's way more jankier and you can't get it to work half the time. So if it sucks, why is it that most modern games released today are using this engine? Well, let's put it simply because it's easier to make good-looking games with it. Unreal Engine 5 has many features like Lumen and Nanite to help with lighting and geometry without really putting as much effort. How so? Well, Nanite basically tells the concept of a polygon budget to go fuck itself. In the old days, artists had to spend weeks manually making low-quality, ugly versions of every single rocks and trees so your PC wouldn't explode. Now, these lazy bastards can just drag a movie-quality model with 20 million polygons directly into the engine and Nanite handles the math on the fly. It's like magic, but the kind of magic that eats your GPU RAM like that one hungry motherfucker. Then you've got Lumen, which is essentially an instant restoration for people who don't want to do their goddamn jobs. Back in the day, you have to spend weeks manually painting fake shadows and some reflections onto surfaces, which is an absolute pain in the ass to set up. With Lumen, you can just drop a light in a room and boom, it bounces off the floor and hits the ceiling exactly like in real life. So it's great, right? It makes things easier for the developers. Except, it makes everything harder for your computer, and it's barely noticeable too compared to games with decent rasterization. So is it just ray tracing? No, not exactly. Well, traditional ray tracing is a perfectionist that calculates every single pixel's light path, which is why it kills your frame rate. Lumen is like a cheat that creates simplified invisible ghost version of your world made of soft blobs and traces light against those instead. This makes it much faster and allows it to run on consoles or older PCs that don't even have ray tracing hardware. The problem? Even with these shortcuts, the base cost of this tech is still fucking astronomical. Most developers just turn these features on and see that it looks pretty on their $5,000 PC rigs and release it. They figured it runs well enough and they don't have to do much work, so it's a win-win, right? Then they slap an upscaling and frame generation feature in the game to hide the fact that the game runs like a crippled bitch at native resolution. You get a gorgeous game, but your old GPU has to scream in agony just to keep it running. But in the contrary, you get a good-looking game, right? Where it looks absolutely stunning, almost indistinguishable from real life. Well, not really. And let's be honest about this. These game developers are not using Unreal Engine 5 only just so that they could make a game that looks really fantastic. Because some games that doesn't use this engine are arguably better in the graphics category. We have Red Dead 2, Kingdom Come Deliverance, Horizon, Last of Us. These games uses different engines, and not only these games run better, but at most cases, they even look better as well. And I guarantee you, the main reason why these developers are using Unreal Engine 5 is it's because how easy it is to use, how quickly they can make a game with it, especially with smaller game studios where they don't have a lot of staff to work with. Having a game engine already made is just so convenient and saves you so much time and money. And the games I mentioned earlier have their own game engine. So if a studio makes their own custom engine, they have to spend months teaching every new hire how to use their weird specific tools. But with Unreal, they can hire a developer on Monday and have them working by Tuesday because everyone already know how it works. Plus, it features a blueprint, a visual scripting system that lets artists and designers create entire gameplay mechanics without writing a single line of actual code. That's also the reason why the character movements in Unreal Engine 5 games feel the same. So instead of hiring more specialized staff to fix bugs in a custom engine, studios just let Epic Games do the heavy lifting. They could just focus their budget making the game, and with Unreal Engine 5, they get a massive library of photorealistic megascans and plug-and-play physics system that's ready to go. Developers choose Unreal Engine because it's the fastest path from idea to product, even if it means sacrificing the deep specialized optimization that makes those iconic games look and feel different to a game that looks good but plain and boring as shit. And especially in 2026, where as I mentioned earlier that we are currently having component shortages affecting RAM, SSDs, and VRAM, or having a 64GB RAM kit makes you feel luxurious. And these games having the audacity to eat a ton of RAM, worse than Chrome, then easily taking 100+ gigabytes of storage and 12 gigs of VRAM because developers don't care about texture compression anymore, making it so that people who haven't upgraded their old hardware yet spend fortune on components to make their $70 game with multiple paid DLC playable. Gaming really is an expensive hobby, huh? And how these component shortages could be good? Well, it's because if they don't optimize their games soon, there won't be as much players because of these component prices limiting people to order hardwares. So, who knows? They might adapt and make their games playable and stuff, but I don't fucking know. The legendary Sun Tzu once said,
"Expensive PC components breeds games that are optimized."
yeah, legit, I have my sources. Anyways, that's about it. If you like this video, then hit that like and subscribe button, because if you don't... So, yeah. See y'all in the next video. Bye.